I do not aspire to climb up any corporate ladder. I do not aspire to any corner office. I don't aspire to any high-rise building. I just want to be whole.
Yeah.
I just want to be whole.
So, Hi guys, welcome to the visual version of Chats with Bhee. It's taken some time to get to this point, but here we are, and we're going to give it to you guys as a treat every now and then. Too much sweet stuff, not that good for you. So once in a while, you'll get this treat from us. Today, I am going to be talking to someone I recently reconnected with, Akona. We went to high school together.
Hi.
And I'd like her to introduce herself so that you guys know who is sitting with me on the couch.
Thanks, Wuhle.
You're welcome.
Hello, everybody. My name is Akona Mabasa, and I had the privilege of sharing my high school experience with Wuhle. You were a year above me.
Yeah.
So we're a year apart, but we spent, until you left, most of high school together.
Yeah.
We were not friends, of course, because you were older than me, but I think we were cool.
Yeah, we were cool each other and circulating each other.
Yes. So I'm really excited to have a girl chat with you. I think it's long overdue.
Yes.
I think when we reconnected, I thought, oh my goodness, if there's one person I'd love to have a conversation with is you. Especially this version of you, this grown, a mother, a powerhouse. I'm really excited and I feel quite privileged to be here. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Guys, how do I go on after that? So you guys know how I do my podcast. I literally started whenever. However, it doesn't matter what I'm doing, but you're going to have a chat with me with whoever I'm sitting with. So Akona, I bumped into her at one of our favorite restaurants. I'm not going to mention the name, but anyway, we bumped into each other at one of our favorite spots, and we literally just went off talking. We spoke about marriage, womanhood, discovering yourself, and there's quite a few things she said that I was just like, oh my god, yes, young girls need to hear this, because guys nilahlekile izinto enizenzayo I think I will let you lead us into that one, because I need to gather myself before I say the wrong thing.
So I think I thought about that conversation for days after we had it, and I suppose it's centered around authenticity,
yes,
or lack thereof, especially in our society,
yes,
and safe spaces for us as Black women to live our truth,
yes,
to live our truth in ways that are consistent with our beliefs and our principles. And I guess my whole concern, our conversation started from a concern. I'm always concerned that Black women do not have spaces where they feel it is okay to be themselves.
Yes.
And I suppose there's a whole host of reasons that lead to that. But I think we really are working extra hard to be versions of ourselves that are not true to ourselves.
Guys.
And it's quite damaging. I think a lot of people suffer psychologically because of this need to be someone other than Akona,
and be
presenting
validated,
yourself as more or less, and I guess it leads into a lot of trouble, because the most difficult thing I believe to do in life is to be someone other than who you are.
Amen.
It must be a full-time job.
It is. Remember this morning, we were actually talking about YouTubers, and no offense to YouTubers, whatever.
Disclaimer.
Y'all are doing, just a disclaimer, y'all are doing a great job. Love it. I think I struggled with that space because I can't be on all the time.
Yes.
I need my off days. I need to be able to be me on and off camera. So who you see right now is who you see in the streets. But with that space, you're portraying a version of yourself that your mother doesn't even know. Like, when now you've got a taste that exceeds your actual capacity, right? So if you got a day job, where now your life is like, how do I even put this in a nice way? you're living a life that precedes where you are at that time. And we're living in a time where we're rushing to achieve things that we are not ready for. We're rushing to be at a place where we are not even ready for. You want to start sprinting before you can even start crawling. Like, I'm going to take it to this little girl that's been trending. And I am going to say her name specifically because I really wish the narrative can start changing. There's this little girl, I think she's 16. Her name is, and she often trends for untoward things, right? Specifically for her age, above all else. Like, if you are past a certain age and that's your hustle, bruh. But at 16, and your hustle is amadoda, there's something intensely wrong with the moral fiber of our society if we think that that's okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to tread lightly.
Yes.
Because this is someone's life and this is someone's child.
Yes.
I do feel, though, that as a Black woman, I have a right
Absolutely.
to weigh in, right? I've been 16 before.
Yes.
I've been in that place before. I am not a parent yet. But I wonder what you're setting your child up for when you allow your child to be exposed to elements of society that are beyond your control. So I guess that is the point of departure here. It's like, for that child to be in that space, someone said yes.
Exactly.
Right? And you say yes to that child being exposed to things that you're not going to be able to shield them from. And I guess that for me is what bugs me, is who allowed that? And when you allow that, how's she being cushioned from the elements, the social media elements, which can be very harsh?
Yeah.
I as for how amadoda and being 16, I think that speaks to a bigger conversation.
It's a moral fiber thing.
I think it speaks to how we are raising our children, especially our little girls.
Yeah.
How they perceive themselves. I think our little girls are catapulting. They are like skipping
So many
fundamental
stages.
stages. And I don't know, like it's a very fine balance between letting a child be and letting her, grow and
Express
develop
herself,
and
yeah.
explore and make mistakes and catching her and literally leaving a child in the wilderness. I worry about this purely from that point. The age, the control. It is your duty as a parent to control the extent to which your child is harmed, the extent to which your child is exposed.
Yeah.
Even if she was doing YouTube videos about cooking and she was 16, I would still go, in a society that we live in with pedophiles running amok, I worry.
Yeah.
But that there's that added layer of what you refer to, which is if sex, men, and the word 16, for me, it's in the same sentence. I'm a little bit stressed. I'm a little bit stressed.
It gives me anxiety just thinking about it. And just another disclaimer, we're not calling out anybody's parents and saying ingi ingi. We're just saying there's an adult in that space that is allowing this behavior. Because at some point, we do need to take back responsibility of the landscape that we're currently living in.
Sure.
And the responsibility comes in platforms like this, right? There's one platform that we spoke about, I think during the week when we were having a chat about today, Mac G's podcast, right?
Yes.
And it's actually funny because we agree on a lot of things. And there was a point in that where we actually disagreed, right? So my conversation is always this. If you have a platform, it is your duty to make sure that the things that you are putting out are adding to us as Black people, to us as a community, and that they're elevating us, right? And my feeling about that specific space is that it degrades us in so many ways, and it sets the standard. Like, you know what? If you're going to see someone being given head on the show or hear it because there was audio, that's okay. Sexualization to that extent, and I think you came with a different point with how it's being constructed.
So we agreed that that content is certainly for us,
Problematic.
It's problematic.
Yes.
And that we took it and consumed it and said nothing about it was equally problematic.
Yes.
But I thought, is that not the whole point? I think MacG, for me, does a sterling job at grabbing attention,
Yeah.
displaying things that they make the flesh want to stop.
Yeah.
And go, oh, what is that? We want more. Like we wanna hear about that. And I think that's the point.
Yeah.
So I think MacG's podcast is so well thought out. It's intentional. That's the word. They're very intentional about what they put there.
Yeah.
Because it's things that also, anytime you display something that is usually done in secret or in the darkness, you're going to get more views.
Yeah.
And I think that's the intention. To that extent, they're succeeding. Where I think they run a risk, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Where they run a risk is I'm not sure about a 16-year-old watching that and thinking that is okay.
Yeah. That's where the problem then starts.
I think for me, that's like, where do we draw the line? Certain things are to be done behind closed doors. That's the whole point about closed doors. Do we not? That's why we close doors.
We're missing something.
There are certain things that you appreciate them because they are done
behind closed doors.
When we cross over and we bring those things here, are we not running a risk of exposing people that are not quite ready to consume certain things, to those things, right? And I guess, well, he can come back and say, yeah, well, why aren't you guys guarding your children? But how can you? Children have access to TikTok. They've got access to Instagram.
Exactly.
They can create multiple email addresses to access all these social media platforms. And I don't know, as an adult, I don't know how old he is. Someone with a child, I think.
He has a child.
I don't know if it was
his girl child.
If it was his girl child consuming that, how would he feel? And I think it's always important to look at things from that perspective. If it was your cousin who was, consuming that, how would you feel? Would you not be concerned?
Do you know what, Nem? And not to speak for the brothers, but it goes back to the conversation we're having behind set. Yoguti, as the production team, when you do what you're doing because you're providing the service. As a brand, you're conscious of who you are aligning yourself with.
True.
So in this instance, he's providing entertainment.
Yes.
He's providing entertainment. And I don't think his concern is, what is the entertainment doing?
Yeah.
What are the ramifications of that entertainment? Because if that was his chat, he would still use the brilliance, he would still use the clickbait in a way in which it elevates us.
Sure.
I mean, I don't want to go back to specific episodes because I don't want to spend too much time on it. So I'm going to wrap it up real quick. But like I said, it goes back to the entertainment aspect. I don't think he considers Guti if they saw this. Because I mean, the questions that he asks sometimes are just so, they are daring. They do exactly what is intended. They catch attention, they keep attention, and they paint a narrative. But again, my concern is the people who are watching. The 16-year-olds who now end up thinking it's okay to do certain things. And I don't want to touch on anyone's career, anyone's hustle, anyone's bag. But there was a specific lady that was on the show who was asked, if your sister was doing what you're doing, how would you feel?
Sure.
And she outright said, I wouldn't be happy. And that's where we go back to, how do we correct the moral fiber of our society? We have people on X saying we no longer have educational channels like, your Takalani Sesame, your Soul Buddies. But I don't think that even if we had them right now, it would do much because of platforms like YouTube and TikTok.
Yes.
What we need is more conversations like this to go viral. Because it's not daring and popular, and our conversations are a little bit, what's the word? Tame. You guys are going to say, oh, okay, two pretty girls and that's it, and let's move on. Kanti, actually, no. The conversations we are having are the kinds of conversations that will correct the moral fiber of society.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Do you think it's our place also? Because I feel like that's always a comeback.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just putting my content out there. It's up to the user to decide whether it's appropriate. Or, is it our place?
You know what?
I always struggle with that when it comes to my views. Is it my place to be telling people what they should and shouldn't say? Is it not the place of the consumer, the parent of the consumer, to be able to protect their child? Like, we live in a free country, don't we?
We do. We definitely do. And I actually love that question. I'm going to go back to being African. As an African person, it takes a village to raise a child.
Very true.
It takes a village to raise a child. Umamako, no babako can discipline me if nyenza inte wrong ejardini yako.
Yes.
And unfortunately, the social space ijariti.
Very true.
It is a yard.
Very true.
And we are allowing chaos to happen in the yard.
At the expense of our children.
Exactly.
I think
So aside from being a mother to an amazing, brilliant little girl who knows what a pentagon is at 2 years old, I think I have every right on earth to tell you as a 16-year-old what to do, because you are also the same 16-year-old that's going to come into my DMs and say, I see that you are doing 1, 2, 3. How do I do that? And I will tell you for free, you cannot do what I do with the mindset that you have. I didn't just wake up one day and decide to start thinking like this. It's been years of crafting through books, through mentors, through abantu abadala, through so many people involved who had a very big part in who I am today. True. So absolutely, I have every right on earth.
I really love that analogy. And I think it's so fitting. It's so fitting, right? We're all connected via social media. So icharit zonke sesihlala ejaritini everyone. So asikhuzaneni, kuningi. I think we have lost our sensitivity to certain things. Just like we're numb.
We're desensitized.
Yeah, desensitized to certain things that I don't know what we need to see for us to go walk, guys. That's too much. That is just too much. I know we spoke about there's that ceiling challenge on TikTok.
Jesus Christ.
So the idea is to tape a phone to the ceiling and then twerk so that you get an aerial view of your booty. And I think it was started by an adult, right?
Chomi, it started so wholesomely. It was so wholesome when it started.
I didn't quite see the start, but I just was shocked when I saw 12, 13, 10-year-olds twerking.
Guys, like literally, friend, it started. I remember the one that was so cute that I love so much. It was Loot Love and her twins.
Love that. I saw that.
And that's how it started. They put the phone up there and they were just dancing, living their best lives. Then another one was a girl cooking for her man. Those weren't trending. And then jiggy.
The booties.
Yo. Lirajo.
I think, is it a South African thing? It's just everywhere. Hey?
I'm tired of ass, y'all.
Yeah, it's everywhere. But it goes back to the same thing it links back to the MacG chat, right? What sells is sex, drama, and pain. I think. So if you're not showing us your pain, if you're not showing us your drama, you must show us something sexualized. And you always take it there. I think if you're above the age of 18, okay, if that's the way you want to present yourself to society,
that's
go
your
for
choice.
But as it goes down to 12, 10-year-olds, I worry about the lack of conversations of consent.
Man,
your body, how people see you, how you see yourself. I don't think that brain has got the capacity to think through all those things.
Absolutely.
And because the brain does not have the capacity to think through all those things, how are you on that space and there's no one saying, hey, get down from the bed, take your phone off the ceiling, please, and sit down, please.
Yo, guys, I think, because manje, we also have parents on TikTok, right?
Yes.
Abazali manje
yes.
are now on TikTok.
Yes.
They want to be cool. They want to be in it. And that's fine, right? But these are also the same bazalis who get fired from work because of the things they're doing on social media. So the problem actually runs quite deep. It runs literally past our age, because I'm only 28 and I've seen a 40-something-year-old doing this challenge.
Sure.
I've seen groups of them doing some crazy stuff on the TikTok. They've done some crazy stuff on that platform. And for me, it's always like, is this how you want to present to the world? Like, honestly, maswahlezi uyiwani endlini yakho singakubhekanga singekho nawe, because when we're on the phone, all of us are together. That's what we forget. We forget that the phone is a portal. When I'm on this phone and I'm recording and I'm showing and I'm doing all of this, sisonke sisejardineli wani. So I have an opinion on what you're doing, and I'm gonna say it whether it breaks you down or not. So as an adult in the space, you're working at APSA, FNB, wherever you're working, and then you go home and you do these things. Uthini, like, what's going on inside of you?
I guess the argument is that that's my space where I express myself, right?
Guys,
and that's my space where I'm free, where I'm not confined by the conduct that's required of me in my workspace, in my family space, etc. And I can hold space for that. I can hold space for the fact that that's where you express yourself. But if the self that you express there is so inconsistent with the self that you want to have people perceive,
that's where the problem is.
Then there's a disjuncture there. Then we have an issue.
I have a question for you. Guys.
Shoot.
It's not often I come across someone who's not on social media.
Yeah, no.
Not on Instagram, not on TikTok.
I have a TikTok account to consume.
Yeah.
I think I have one video that I posted there and I was like, wow, this is wild.
Enough.
This is weird.
So why did you get off, if you don't mind me asking, why did you get off that space?
I think I was 21, 22. And I had a social media presence for the purpose of my pageant life. I used to do pageants. And you needed a social media presence, right? It was part of the requirements. Outside of that, I was a young person. I had a smartphone. I had data. Everyone was on Instagram. I'm quite a self-aware person. And the state of my mental health before I joined social media was starkly different to like a year in and 2 months in. I was very impressionable. And I could see that my taste is literally being defined by the posts that I'm seeing on Instagram, by the things that I'm reading on Twitter, by the Facebook posts that I'm reading and consuming. And the state of my mental health was declining. My taste, my principles, my morals were also being tested by what I was consuming. And I could see it. I was acting in ways that were not consistent with my beliefs, with my principles, because of what I was consuming, right? But most importantly for me, it was the pressure. I don't come from a well-off family. We were raised by a single mother, and I didn't have everything. I didn't have most things growing up. I have a loving mother, still do have a loving mother, but social media was applying so much pressure on me that there were things that I was starting to think of doing to be able to mimic what I was seeing. And for me, when that began, I looked at myself in the mirror and I didn't recognize myself at that age. And I was only 21. I was just like, this is not who I am. It is work to be in this space. It hurts me to see someone who is the same age as me, has more than me. I can see myself wanting that. And it hurts me that I don't have it. So I need to stop. I'd rather not see it. And so when I deactivated my accounts, it gave me so much peace.
And freedom.
It was just like, and I've got no shade to everyone who has got multiple accounts everywhere. I think it's amazing. We love to see your lives. But for me and my psyche and my spirit, I absolutely need privacy. I'm also a very type A kind of a person. So I would fixate on one picture for hours. Is it good enough? Is like, what did this person say under it? And that wasn't healthy for me. And I am 27. I have no desire. I have no desire to be on Instagram. And I love people that are on Instagram, and we love to consume your content, but it could never be me. It could really never be me. The thought of people having access to me like in that way scares me. It scares me, and I love a peaceful life. I love a grounded life.
Yes.
I love a present life.
Yes.
I love a life that's consistent with who I am on the inside. And for me to attain that, I need to limit what I consume.
Yo, guys.
Even on TikTok, there are times where it's too much.
Yeah, yeah.
I can feel my mood has changed, my spirit has changed because of the nature of the algorithm, right?
Yes.
And sometimes I must be clear about what I'm swiping so that the
Exactly.
algorithm can bring me things that feed into my soul,
Exactly.
not take away. So, yeah, man, we grew up alongside your Stelo Shozis, your Ze Shozis, your Mhlalinda Mases. Those are our peers insofar as age is concerned.
Yeah.
They had more than us in varsity, for heaven's sake.
Literally.
And I just, I tried it, You try to be like, okay, if I can do what they do, then I'll be able to have this and I'll look like this. And it was too much, just damaging. So yeah, that's a very long-winded way of saying that.
No, but it's the best way. It's the best way to say it because then it answers the question that we were asking ourselves in the beginning about the moral fiber, about this need for validation, about this intense desire to constantly be in front of something or someone. I think with me, I've been on social media for the longest time. And I think I started with Facebook in grade 9 and then TikTok not long after that. Not TikTok, I'm lying. Twitter, not long after that. And I saw that this is about to be a beast. I saw, like everybody always asks me now, how am I, because I have a company called Vampire Africa Digital Solutions. Did I go to school? I'm like, nah, I literally just watched the trends as if I'm watching the markets. From grade 9, grade 10, I just knew that right here, it's going to be something that's going to rock the world. And that's exactly what has happened. I remember in grade 10, I had a best friend, her name is Kia. We would walk into class and we would talk and say tweet, talk and say like, we would literally talk as if we're tweeting. That's how I knew that this thing is going to be so impactful and I need to catch it right now.
Yeah.
So I learned everything I could about the space. I watched, I learned, I got involved, And then there was a point where I also start noticing, Guti, hi man, give me 2 seconds.
It's a lot.
Who am I?
It's a lot.
Do I really like designer stuff, bling bling?
The brain is very powerful.
Yeah, I'm like, that's not me. What am I doing? And I think I took my first social media break when I was pregnant with my daughter. I went incognito for a whole year. And I made that choice because I knew that what I was carrying was what God has blessed me with, and I was going to protect it with my life. And protecting it with my life meant that what goes in here has to be different.
Yes.
This was around the time where Amapiano was a thing. Oh. Guys, I promise you, for when Amapiano started, I knew nothing. And every time I'd hear that music, it disrupted my spirit. Yes. I was just like, I don't want to hear that. I told my ex at the time, no, I don't want to listen to this. I wouldn't listen to hip hop. I would only listen to music that fed my soul and that allowed me to nourish the seed I was growing inside. Yeah. And that's when I found the balance.
You do need a balance.
You have to have a balance, especially if you're going to operate in the space. Your self-awareness has to be
tuned up.
It has to be so strong. Like, I remember someone telling me that I need to go back to wearing wigs so that I can be more relevant on the space. And I was like...
Relevant?
I was like, I don't think my hair really, if anything, my locks are what's revolutionary, not the hair that doesn't belong to me. And I want to say, I don't have a problem with wigs.
Before the wig ladies come for us, I'm one of them, by the way. Before I come for you.
Please, I used to sell wigs and I loved wigs. Y'all know me like that. But in finding myself in my African spirituality and in my Africanness, there's certain things that just automatically fell away without even thinking about it. Like, I remember the day I came back home from an event and my daughter was pulling on my wig. And then she touched her hair. Something in my head went clicked. I was like, she is definitely questioning why. She literally touched her hair and she has long, like she's got an afro. She touched her hair and she touched my hair and she looked at me. She couldn't speak at that time, but I just knew in that moment that if I continue on this road, I'm going to be the same person that's helping my daughter to not know who she is and to be okay with covering who she is, to be more comfortable. And I'm not saying you guys are doing that. I'm saying I was doing that. When I would put on the wigs and the lashes and da-da-da-da-da, I always felt more prettier than that. I really felt like I was my best. So when my daughter did that, I was like,
We can't.
we need to change the gears.
We can't. Yeah.
And I literally put them down, and this is me, and this has been me, and that's that.
And we love to see it. I mean, we love to see everything. I truly believe that anything in society exists on a continuum. That's why we can appreciate different variations of however you express your womanhood, your femininity, we can take it. But we also want happy, healthy people. I love happy, healthy human beings, happy, healthy women in particular. And if laying a wig every day is
Makes
your
you
gateway
happy.
to feeling whole, then we hope and we pray that there will be a day where even in an unlaid state, you feel happy and whole. Because that 5,000 Rand
In this economy.
wig is definitely not who you are. It accentuates features of you.
Makes you
but
more beautiful.
We'd like you to have a positive view of yourself regardless.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the goal, and it's wholeness, right? But I am going to say that we really are all on a journey.
Yes.
Especially
yes.
in that regard. I've not gotten the social media thing right. There are times where I literally want to take TikTok off my phone. You know, I think you said something so profound, like your level of self-awareness is everything. It's what dictates what you take in, because that's how you know that I've had enough now. I've watched way too many of these ceiling challenges now. I need a break now, you know. For me, like I'll make the example of people's homes. I love homemaking. It's my thing. And when I moved into my first home, I was just obsessed with mimicking what I saw, right? Making my home as modern as possible, you know, being part of the gorgeous, gorgeous girlies that have got all the latest appliances, and it was damaging me. I had to take a break. It was not sustainable to think in that way, that things are just going to happen like this. My home's just going to come together like this. So self-awareness, attuning your appetite to what you believe in.
Yes.
Let your appetite towards social media be as consistent as possible to what you believe in.
Thank you.
I'm not saying you can control it. There are things you're going to consume that are not consistent with what you believe in, but your appetite, your level of self-awareness just need to come together and be consistent with what it is that you think is right and wrong.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that's honestly...
That's it.
That's the
for
formula,
parents,
really.
for children, for...
That's really,
it.
I think that's the formula. They must just come together and make sense. So there is something else I'd like to speak about.
Yeah.
You just mentioned it now. You spoke about femininity, right? So when I made that journey into understanding the feminine and the masculine, because I was so aggressive, and in the workspace, people would call me a pit bull. Because
Really?
honestly, friend, I remember I was working on a
whole
project.
pit bull.
Friend, they would call me a pit bull because I was heavy in my masculine, right? And the thing about me is I don't do anything in moderation. If I'm gonna do
An
it,
extremist.
best believe it will diragala like to the highest level, right? If you say, no, Bushle, please take charge of this, I'ma take charge. And that's when I become the pit bull. So I got to a place where that is physically exhausting.
It is.
Operating in your masculine,
It is.
not being I don't even want to say girly girl, but not being feminine and soft and present and ready to receive, because that's what the feminine does. The feminine receives, yes, it gives, but more than anything, the existence of the feminine operates in the receiving end. We receive and we grow. You give to us, we make more.
Yes, we multiply.
You know? So you are young and you are married, and I'm not going to ask questions about that, but how do you balance your career-driven self, which requires your masculine energy, and your feminine ngumfazi self?
I don't think that I have reached the pinnacle of getting that balance right. Let me
Okay.
start by saying that.
Okay.
But I'm going to tap into what you said about the exhaustion.
Yeah.
I tried it. I tried being a semi-pit bull and I was burnt out.
Yeah.
I was burnt out trying to control everything, trying to control everyone. And I think in any relationship, marriage included, there are two spirits there. There are two souls there. When you have too much of that masculine energy, you're taking up space now, more space than you need. And you are literally negatively impacting the next person. They can't operate around someone who wants to do everything and control everything. You're going to burn out and you're going to be frustrated and you're going to frustrate the next person. So I think it took me trying that, failing at it, and then recognizing that, you know what, I cannot do certain things and I will not do them because I cannot do them.
Yeah.
There is so much power in asking for help. There's so much power in being a humble person, humble enough to say, I'm struggling in this area, please may you intervene.
Yeah.
And it took me understanding that. I had to take a step back after the failure and reassess.
Hi man.
I also just think that, sure, marriage will really pull out the worst parts of you, hey? One thing about marriage, it's a beautiful institution. It's an amazing ministry. But it really will extract the parts of you that are most ill and need to be healed.
Yeah.
The parts of you that are most problematic and need self-correcting. And for me, that was it.
Yeah.
I was ceaseless with this desire to just be everything.
Yeah.
Good at work, good at home, on top of things, and you couldn't tell me anything, you know. And you need to just face plant sometimes. I did face plant. Things were not working out until I realized that I'm really tired and I can't do everything. I don't want to do everything. And it's okay for me to be poured into. And I think that is the feminine.
Yeah.
It's okay for you to be poured into.
And
It's
receive.
okay for you to pause.
Yes.
It's
To
okay for
rest.
you to pause and rest. Rest is productive.
Yay.
Rest is so productive.
Man.
Silence is productive. Stepping back is productive. You are not, no one appointed you to be everything to everyone and to do everything and to want to control this and control that.
Absolutely.
That's not the idea. I think also for those that are in relationships, we all know that you need to develop some sort of a rhythm.
Yeah.
And you cannot have a rhythm if you're constantly in a fight mode and a running mode. You can't sprint in a rhythm. Rhythm needs you. Sometimes it fluctuates. Sometimes that's the nature of rhythm, and that's what helped me.
Yeah.
Also, I guess this is my personal, this is where I am personally.
Okay.
I do not aspire to climb up any corporate ladder. I do not aspire to any corner office. I don't aspire to any high-rise building. I just want to be whole.
Yeah.
I just want to be whole.
So, I clapped and I laughed in that exact moment because the day I realized that, child, that's when freedom came.
It's freeing.
Because what am I chasing? When does it stop?
It never does.
Yaban? When am I satisfied?
It never does.
Yaban?
Yeah.
And that conversation started happening when I started actually researching the idea of feminism. Like we love. Feminism is a trigger word and it's had 3 waves and we're currently in the 4th wave where all 3 waves are colliding and all 3 waves are existing in different spaces. So obviously it's chaotic, right? I have a theory. Slightly controversial. Kodwa ke nyangazi. I have a theory. Ukuthi, let me take it back rather. Right? The first wave of feminism was so women could vote.
Sure.
Now, all kinds of women, black, white, Indian, colored, came together and did that march, right? It was predominantly led by Abelungu, right? Now, when all of that was done, Abelungu went back home and they served their men
Yes.
on trays and tended to their family, etc., etc. Now, there's so much that happens with colonialism that it's such an intricate process and such a well thought out thing. When Tina says we're higher, amadoda wethu go to the mines to work. We are left at home to head the household. We run this, we run that. We are acting in our masculine. Ubaba masaze ekhaya. We're not even touching on what's happening at the mines, right? And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just speaking about when he comes back and we receive him at home. Akasase indoda. Because yimi indoda manje, I have taken up that position by virtue of the fact that amadoda wethu have been removed from the conversation. Now we are given this concept ukuthi umfazi imbokodo, wathinta umfazi wathinta imbokodo, and you're rising the corporate ladder and you are better than, greater than, and you need a man greater than, better than, bigger than, who's going to match up to the status that you are chasing. And in the socioeconomic climate in our country, what you're chasing is not feasible.
It's not feasible.
You don't find it because you're operating in something that's bigger than you, that's more ancient than you, that's beyond your understanding, unless you sit down and you actually read between the lines and do the research. I'm saying I'm a feminist. What does that mean?
What does that entail?
And which feminist am I? First, third? Which, and how did our families become the way they are? La Ekaya in Africa. Why are we the way we are?
Yeah.
Once you have that conversation and you do that research, you'll realize it's liberating, and you'll realize all these things that you're chasing, that you want, they are major distractions from building a nation.
Yes.
The quickest way to destroy a nation is remove the fathers.
Yes, chop off the head.
Yep.
And I think it's the feminazis are gonna come for us,
Girl.
but that's fine.
Come through, please.
I think it's one of the most smartest ways to kill us, right? Because I have this conversation with my husband all the time. How is it that Amapunu, have you seen their families?
When
The wives stay at home,
everybody's there.
they raise their kids, and the dad works or the husband works and whatever, and they are so subservient in my short experience of them, the women, that is. Like, what happened to us? Like, how did we
get to this point?
I think it was a plan. I think it was a bit of if we can just remove the head of the household and have the head compete with the neck, so that there's always chaos, there's always discord, there's never alignment, there's never focusing on the things that actually matter, raising the children in the most feasible way, provision for the one that has the main source of provision, brings in the main source of provision in the family. I think we're in a crisis.
We are.
And those that get it, get it.
And if you don't, forget about it.
No, we're in a crisis. I am increasingly concerned with women that say, I'm really, really struggling in my marriage because he says that there cannot be two bulls in one kraal. I'm always like, well, why does he say that? Well, he says that I'm just too much. I think feminazis are going to come first, but I think we need to pause on that for a moment. Like maybe it's because, like I said, that rhythm is off because you want to do everything.
And
you weigh in on everything, even things that are out of your area of expertise. If it's not within your area of expertise to landscape the garden, what are you doing?
Fix the toilet.
What are you doing?
Leave it alone.
What are you doing?
Get a man.
What does it take away from you to say, I have no idea how to do this. May you please intervene?
Oh, it's the pride and the ego that was planted in us.
I think so.
It's really because, like you said, if you look at our counterparts, Amapunu and so forth. I'm sorry, guys. I don't want to be too. But anyway, don't cancel us. But actually, you know what? We're not a subscription. So if you want to cancel, that's your own thing. I just realized. You realize who the hell you are. You're like, what?
Actually, never mind.
If it's
not for you, then keep on swiping.
Thank you. Like, you look at them, Marlalis and Carlalis and whatever Lees. Karen. No.
In the West Rand.
When
Hakari Boki.
East Rand.
If she just says Boki.
Yeah.
When her Boki comes through, that chick drops everything for her Boki, right?
There's Boki, there's little Boki, there's the little babies, all together. And they are
peaceful.
They are thriving in the family structure. Then there's us.
Sibongile magangena.
Utapelo na uyabaleka.
And uthethi uthapelo, hey wena. I heard a lady, I was at Woolies the one day, and she was in like aisle 3, and Tapelo, we'll call us Bongile. Tapelo was in aisle 1.
No, don't
and
say.
the whole of Woolies could hear her yell, yeah wena.
Ay wena.
I thought to myself, yo,
must
not
we embarrass ourselves?
The distance between aisle 1 and aisle 3, like, can you just go and talk to him?
And say,
why must you
baby.
shout at him like he's a child? And I guess that's that masculine coming through.
Yeah.
And also, we cannot not locate this discussion in our socioeconomic context, right?
Yeah.
We cannot not locate it in how, material power translates into like practical power.
Yes.
And I suppose it's the ladies that are really doing well for themselves in terms of their pay slips. And that does something to a woman. Does something to a woman, I think. Bless you.
Sorry, guys.
I think that does something to a woman. It was cringeworthy for me. I thought to myself, we don't yell at anyone. I wouldn't yell at you if you were in aisle 3, let alone your significant other. Is there a reason to yell? Why should you yell? What are you proving to us? So swipe when at the till.
Oh, okay. You see, this is the thing. This is the thing. Like, we are so convinced that the path that we are on in getting the corner office, getting the paycheck, is going to take us somewhere sustainable. And I want to put a disclaimer across. There's nothing wrong with having goals and ambition and all of that. But I think there is a point where you must sit down with yourself, and when you look around, there's no counterpart to say, you know what, baby, I just got this at work, and 1, 2, 3. Because like you said, it does something to a woman. It makes you operate in your masculine, which increases pride and ego, which then places you in a place where
No one can tell you.
and it's mahala, ayikho indoda ezoyimela le nto leyo. Even if you're going to come at me and say, hey, you know nothing about my private life, but I will tell you for free, there is no good man that provides for his family, that provides for you and gives you incubation to achieve your goals and your dreams. If uzokhuluma naye ngathi uyehle entabeni.
Yeah.
Like,
you cannot infantilize any human being,
No.
I think. But if you're, in my very short experience, if you're going to consistently make a man feel like he does not exist, you're going to fail dismally at all relationships. You are going to fail dismally at all relationships because nobody wants to be made to feel that way.
Yeah.
Let alone a grown-ass man.
Yo.
And like, you're not coddling him. I'm not saying don't call out what is wrong, but you absolutely have to package it in a way that is appropriate.
Thank you.
No one has a problem with the content of what you guys are saying. If Skumbuzo is wrong, then
Skumbuzo
there's
is
a
wrong.
way of calling out Skumbuzo, but not in a man that literally makes him feel like you're 3-year-old. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I will always say, these are not popular conversations to have. They're the ones that we have at family gatherings when this is not a podcast.
Yeah.
But we're willing to bring it here because it's the truth.
Yeah.
It is many people's experience. People are struggling with the sense that we don't get along at home. Well, it's probably because you are like a grater. You're abrasive. You hurt people, this next person that you live with.
You're a great.
You are a grater. You're abrasive. You can actually just push your trolley to aisle number 1 and let Tapelo know that, can you please get some mail? Thank you.
Imayonas.
Yeah. It can also happen, not yewena.
Yo, guys, I can't even imagine.
No. And for me, that's why I struggle a lot with conversations around feminism. I struggle. I am struggling. I'm still struggling to locate myself within that my politics, where feminism is concerned, because I don't hate men. I don't hate men. I don't want to annihilate the species. And for me, the way feminism often presents itself is such that we want to annihilate the species, we hate them, we want what they have, we want to become them.
But also a specific kind of species. Not
exactly,
everyone.
Exactly.
The specific kind of species.
This kind of species.
We want to make
and
sure.
I have no desire to do that.
Yeah.
I don't want it for the people I love. Why would you want to do that? Black men, especially, require our backing.
And respect.
They require our respect before they require our love.
That is so true.
In my view.
Yeah.
I think those are some of the most successful Black relationships that I have had the privilege of encountering. You know, when I'd ask the women, because we gravitate towards women, what is the secret? Is the height of respect. You know, you can love him, sure, love him, but you must respect him more than you love him.
Yeah.
That's what's going to sustain you. And I think we're lacking in that respect.
Yeah.
And I think that's why our brothers are also struggling.
Yeah.
You know, to present themselves as in the ways that we need them, because we're not giving that respect, and so they lack in that love as well. We're not speaking to each other. Yeah. I think that's why there's a lot of chaos. There's a lot of chaos, I think, in our relationships.
Yo, guys, we can go on for hours, but I have an emotional battery. And
so do I.
Yeah, I think we've covered so many things that I am extremely passionate about, that I talk about on all my platforms unashamedly. And whether it trends or not, whether you share it or not, the conversations will still be had with or without you. But the movement will become a real thing, and it will become permanent, because the things we are fighting are not of the flesh. They are not of the flesh. The colonialism that we are still fighting today is something that is so ingrained that the conversation we just had is the one thing that actually destroys us as a people. So today, I think I'd just like to wrap it up there. To thank you for being so amazing.
Thank you.
So self-aware.
Thank you for providing the space. Thank
That
you.
was Send Studios. So the space was provided by Send Studios. If you want to record your own podcast, send them a DM and they will attend to you. I am so grateful that we have been given the space and this platform to have these conversations that I think are so important. And don't stop. Have them in your personal space. If you can, record them.
Yes.
Put them out there. We need to literally fight fire with fire. The content that's coming out, we have to put out our own to mitigate what's being done.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Bhee. Thank you for having me. And here's to more conversations.
Thank you.
to
Maybe
more
this
chats.
could be a real thing.
Here's to more
We
chats with
don't know.
Bhee.
All right, bye.